welcome back to another episode of Finding 10, where we are gonna search for a 10 out of 10 movie. Today we're gonna talk about a Netflix movie that it just released last Friday, and it is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Oh wait, since it's all in lowercase letter, I'm thinking of ending things. I'm Thinking of Ending Things was adapted from a novel. I don't know if the novel is famous or not because I'm not a reader. But for the movie, it was written and directed by Charlie Kaufman. To those of you who doesn't know who Charlie is, that's normal because we're just casual moviegoers. But I'm sure that most of us has already seen a work of his. He is most known for his screenwriting work on Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is like a masterpiece. Like, I'm not even kidding. Eternal Sunshine is in my top 5 all-time romance movies. I don't know, I seem to really like romance movies that has like some sci-fi elements in it, which is why I love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So if you haven't watched the film, go give it a chance. Charlie's other famous works are Being John Malkovich and Anna Malisa. Am I saying that right? Anna Malisa. Anna Malisa. All in all, he is a very prominent script writing in the industry since he's been nominated for Best Writing multiple times. Now, to be honest, I only found out about I'm Thinking of Ending Things like a week before the movie was released. After watching the trailer, I was so hyped for the movie. What hyped me more was the fact that it was listed as a horror/thriller movie on IMDb, despite the trailer being kind of romance-ish.
Jake, my boyfriend.
It's snowing.
Winter is coming in.
But as of today, the horror genre from the movie has been removed. So in my mind, I was expecting a mind-blowing film that has some like creepy vibes in it. I was expecting a mixture of Eternal Sunshine and Get Out with the sci-fi element being time. Now, I don't know anything about the novel, so maybe it was kind of dumb for me to assume that it would be anything like that. But in my defense, there was a line in the trailer that made me think that way. It was this line.
People like to think of themselves as points moving through time. But I think it's the opposite. We're stationary, and time passes through us.
Do you see what I mean? Of course, I assumed the movie to be a mindfuck movie about how we perceive time. And the way the family was portrayed in the trailer made me think that, oh, maybe there's something different about them because there's something different in the way they perceive time. Alright, so now we've established what I was expecting from the movie and that I was so hyped for it. I watched the film on the day it came out, which is on Friday night, and the first red flag for me was seeing that the movie's runtime is 2.5 hours. But nevertheless, I pressed play excitedly. Now, the first few shots of the movie are what we've seen from the trailer. But then you get into the actual first scene, which is Jake and the girl having conversations in the car on the way to Jake's parents' house. This scene actually sets the mood for the whole film, but unfortunately, it was not a great mood. I mean, sure, Get Out also has that conversation car scene in the beginning of the film, but in I'm Thinking of Ending Things, the scene just goes on for too long. It goes on for like 20 minutes. We quickly understood that they're a very awkward couple. Their conversations are just too boring and too uninteresting, and sometimes they will use big words that it made it seem like they're a bit pretentious. But as pretentious as they may be, I was still paying really close attention to the conversations they were having. Because again, I thought that this movie was gonna be like Get Out, so I wanted to try to catch as many clues as I can when watching the film. And it was also really obvious from the first time that we see the janitor that the janitor is Jake. I think anyone who have watched the trailer before they watch this film would catch that in an instant. But I didn't have a problem with that because I was still excited about how they're gonna use the concept of time. Another example of a movie that deals with how we perceive time is Arrival, which is again a masterpiece. So I didn't really care about how obvious that the janitor is Jake because I thought maybe they were trying to hide it. Maybe a plot twist isn't what they're going for. So alright, after 20 minutes we finally reach Jake's parents' house, and I do gotta say that every scene in Jake's parents' house is entertaining. Well, except for the part where Jake talks about pigs, which is really boring, but other than that, it was really interesting. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I find the scenes in Jake's parents' house to be extremely funny. I was laughing my ass off. David Taylor's expressions was so funny. Toni Collette's giggles was so funny. Everything was funny. Even the dogs, what's that? You know, when dogs do this to, yeah. I'll just show you the scene. I'll just show you what I mean.
Soon this will all be a distance.
It was so funny to me because, I don't know, it was like super awkward that it became super funny. It was like a scene taken straight from The Office. There are of course some creepy things that are going on, like the basement, the young girl's photographs, and Jake's parents changing their age. And in overall, their behaviors were creepy. I genuinely thought that the girl was never going to go home, that this family trapped her. Again, just like in Get Out. But there was also another scenario that I had in mind. Oh, maybe the movie was about the bitterness of romance. Because the girl said that people tend to do things that are easy. That's why usually most people chose to stay rather than breaking up, because breaking up would be too much of an effort. So I thought that was the point. That even though the girl has said multiple times that she's thinking of ending things, she never actually ended things. So she marries Jake, lives in the farmhouse, witnessed Jake's parents growing old, and the movie is just her going through her life again because she was on autopilot the whole time. That's why her perception of time seems a little bit blurry. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think that's a pretty interesting concept for a movie. But no, they eventually went home, so all my predictions regarding the movie was completely thrown out the window. And I was even surprised with how easy they left the farmhouse and how short they spent their time there. There was still like another 1 hour left in the movie when they left the farmhouse, maybe even more. So now we get another really long scene of just them talking in their car. And the worst of it all is just the conversations are even more awkward and boring than before. There was another glimmer of hope that came up to me when I watched the ice cream scene. There were these two weird girls that seems to take a liking to Jake, so I thought in my mind, oh, maybe Jake's parents have already found a way to make girls like Jake, because it seems like Jake's mother was overly proud of Jake. But no, it turned out to be just another cryptic scene. And then we get to the last 30 minutes of the movie, which was spent in Jake's high school. And this is where the janitor is. Now, this last 30 minutes was just so weird. First off, the girl's conversation with the janitor was super weird. Second, there were suddenly two dancers that just dance. And these dancers have the same outfit as Jake and the girl, so I guess that represents that the dancers are them, but again, it was just too unclear. They danced for like 10 minutes. And then suddenly the janitor got naked and there was suddenly a talking pig. And then it cut into Jake receiving a Nobel Prize, I guess, on top of a stage. And then suddenly he performed a musical score, like in Broadway. And then the movie just ends. Now, I'm sure what I've just described about the last 30 minutes of the film was extremely vague to you guys, especially to those who haven't watched the film. But trust me, it really was that vague. I didn't understand a single thing about the movie. When the credits rolled, I remember thinking, wait, what? That's it? Really? I mean, how should I put this delicately? It was 2.5 hours of pure nothingness. I didn't understand a single thing about the movie. My eyebrows has never been like this so hard in my entire life. When the credits rolled, I was actually tired because of my eyebrows. I went from being like this when I pressed play into being like when the credits rolled. I turned every wrinkle in my brain to try to make sense about what the movie is, but I just couldn't. It was just too vague. I don't know if I'm just too dumb for this movie, but what in the actual fuck did I watch? Now, a friend of mine gave me an article explaining the meaning behind the movie because she was confused too, as I'm sure that most of us are. I will put the link in the description box down below, but honestly, even after reading the article, I was still kind of, really? That's it? That's the whole point? So apparently the girls was just Jake's imagination of what her ideal girl is. The multiple names, the multiple jobs, the multiple stories of how they met was taken from Jake's previous unsuccessful relationships. But that too didn't make sense either. If the girl is the embodiment of Jake's ideal girl, then why would she be thinking of ending things with Jake? And I mean, the explanations given by the article wasn't satisfying enough to justify the level of weirdness presented in the movie. And I don't think it matters how great of a message you have when the audience needs to read it from outside sources. Of course, movies like Get Out, Shutter Island, Annihilation all have articles explaining the meaning behind some scenes. But in I'm Thinking of Ending Things case, it was for the whole entire movie. As a filmmaker, it is your job to present your message, your ideas, in a way that the audience can truly appreciate. You cannot rely on YouTube videos or online articles to explain the meaning behind your movie, because again, they are your audience and it is your movie. A little bit of cryptic scenes here and there is alright, but when it is 100% of your entire movie, it just wouldn't work. But again, maybe that's just me and my small brain. Maybe those who have enormous brain power will like this movie. I don't know. But I do gotta give props to the way they built the atmosphere in this movie. The conversations were so unsettling if you haven't realized, and that is because their timing is off. They often reply one another too fast or too slow, and sometimes their replies are about something else entirely. They rarely use any music background in the movie, so again, it gives out this unsettling vibes because it is too quiet. So yeah, it managed to make us feel unsettled, which is what we want from a thriller movie. But it never turned into something more. It never turned into something that is truly disturbing or truly terrifying. Which is so frustrating because they have all the ingredients to make that happen. They just mentioned weird things once and then it never came out again, which is to me just like, why did you even mention it? So alright, all in all, I don't think that I'm Thinking of Ending Things is a great film because it obviously cannot hold its own. It relies on outside sources to tell the audience about what they mean too much. And that to me just defeats the whole purpose of filmmaking. So after considerations, me and my small brain decided to give I'm Thinking of Ending Things a score of 4.8. The cinematography was great, the acting was great, and Jake's parents' house design was beautiful. But yeah, there's really not much else going on. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, drop your thoughts on the movie in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys at our next destination.